Okay. So what we want to do today is to go over a new set of questions. I know that like Canvas, I'm not sure if it is back on. Let me just it's not. Okay. So thankfully, we are still working on the same data set. So you don't need to use Canvas for now. Just open the file that we've been working during the last few sessions, and then we'll just like work on the new query, like new set of questions. Okay. Just a quick note, like if you see an error, it shows you, and like when you want to open a chart, it shows you an error. It doesn't show you the chart. It is probably because when like the data set file, you remember like we said like go to file and open, like that's when you imported the data set. Maybe you've moved the data set file or you removed the data set file. It's not able to find it. That's why it shows you the error. Just make sure that like you have the file. If it shows you an error, just go back, click on open and like locate the Excel file, and like that should like apply, and then you will be able to like use the charts and so on. Okay. So what we want to do, we want to create a vertical bar chart to show sum of cells for each product. Create a parameter that shows or to show top n products with the highest number of highest sum of cells. We want to let the user choose like top 10, top 20, specify what they want to like see, and then the chart shows that. So we want to learn about how we can create a parameter. What's a parameter? We use parameters to like make the chart a little bit more interactive. Let the user like apply some changes to the values of the chart, and then based on that they see the results based on what they specify. In this case, let's just like start from the like what we have for the basics. I want to create a chart that shows sum of cells for each product. So I have the products here. Okay, I have the products here, and I want to show sum of cells. Sum of cells. So for each product, I want to show sum of cells. I will click on bar chart, and it shows us for each product. You can see there's some like that we don't have. So let's apply two things. First, maybe like change or swap the rows and columns so we see them this way. Okay. And then sort the results as descending. Okay. Sort the results as descending so we can see sum of cells for each product. And you can see that we have many products. Okay. Now, we want to learn, like, we want to see how we can create parameters and then use them. Again, parameters, we create parameters to allow the user to kind of like change the values in charts, and like you will see how it will like enable the user to interact with the chart. So first, how do we create a parameter? We want to create a parameter as called top n that will allow us to show us top 10 products with the highest cells. First, let's create a parameter. Here on the sidebar in the data tab, click on the down arrow here and then click on create parameter so we can create a parameter. So in the sidebar, in the data tab, click on the down arrow, okay, and then click on parameter. Okay. So what do we want to like now let's we want to like we can see a few things. We can specify the name of the parameter. We can specify the data type, we can specify the current value, we can set like range to the parameter and so on. So I will name this parameter top n. I will name this parameter top n. I want to create a parameter that shows like the top 10, top 20. For now, like I specified the name as top n. So what is the data type of this parameter? We see that like every time you think about, okay, what is this parameter is being used for? In this case, we want to show like use it to show like filter the results for top 10, top 5, top 3, just like let the user choose that. You can see that it's an integer. So that means I will specify the data type to integer. The parameter is used as an integer parameter to say top, like used as a number, like integer number to filter the results. So integer. Then we can also like specify other like things about the parameter. In this case, because we want to use it as a filter, I want to also set a range for it. So I will select range here, and for the parameter, I will specify a minimum and maximum. So minimum is 1, so at least show 1, the highest product with the highest sum of cells, and maximum. I will set the maximum to 50. I think 50 even like is way too much. Like usually like if you're creating like a chart like this, you want to like use it to like a limit, like show just a limited number of results to make it more understandable. So minimum, I set the range, minimum 1, maximum for 50. The data type is integer, and then the current value. What's the current value? Whenever we use the parameter later, the current value is the default value for that parameter. So what do I want to set for the like the default value? I'm going to set it to 5. So the default value is 5. That means whenever it's used, it will show initially, it will show the top 5 products with the highest amount of cells. So I will set the current value to 5. That's the default value for the parameter. So a few things. Set the name. Specify the data type of the parameter. Then what is the current value, like the default value? In this case, I also wanted to specify a range for the parameter. It will be like used to like set a limits for the parameter. And then click OK. Okay. So what you will see here is now you can see the parameter in the data tab. You will see the parameter called top n. Okay. If I wanted to go back to change the parameter, simply I can click on the down arrow next to the top n parameter, click on the down arrow and then click on edit. Click on edit, and then I will see the like the configs or configurations of that parameter, and I can change like apply any changes on I want. Okay, click OK. So first step is to create the parameter. Now we want to apply a parameter to a chart. We already have created the chart, and we want to apply the like parameter to the chart. So let's think about this. What am I going to do with this chart? I have for each product, I can see sum of cells. So what I'm looking for is the like top n products. Top n products. That means I want to filter them based on products like the cells, like for each product. So in order to like use a parameter and use it as a filter, here I have the product name. Click on that down arrow here. Okay. Click on the down arrow, not for the calculation, for the category that you use, and click on filter. You're using parameter as a way to filter the results. So click on filter. Okay. Here you have like options like tabs. The one that we are looking for is the top tab. Click on the top tab. Okay. Click on the top tab and then choose by field. From here, I will select by field. And then I can see top. Here, the default is top 10, but I already created a parameter. So instead of 10, I'm going to select my own parameter. I can see that now my parameter shows up there, and I can select the top 10. This is another way to create a parameter also. If you didn't create a parameter before, here you can like also like just go ahead and create the new parameter. You can create the parameter directly from here. Either way, it works. So from here, I will select top n, the parameter that I created to filter like specify the number of like top products. And then click OK. So what happened? Now we set the default value is 5, right? So it shows us top 5 products with the highest amount of cells. Yes. Like applying the filters. Yeah. Okay. So let's go through the steps. first we created the parameter. Now we want to say chart, like we want to apply filter to chart. So for the product name, click on the down arrow and click on filter. I want to use the parameter to filter the result. So that's why we click on filter. I want to apply that filter. Here at the top tab, okay, at the top tab, you can see that it's none. In this time, that now we want to like specify that parameter. So we'll select by field. So already top, okay, there are some like items here. We just leave it at top, but instead of 10, we already created a parameter. We already created a parameter that will like allow us like work with like top. So I select my parameter. Select my parameter. Once I selected it, then click OK, and now the parameter is applied to your chart. Okay. The default value was 5 for me. Okay, that's why it shows us top 5 products with the highest amount of sales. Now, we said we use parameters to allow the user to interact with the chart, so that like they can change the filter, the value of the filter, and then they see like the results based on that. But for now, you can see that it only shows 5. Anytime you do this, you want to make sure one more step. Click on the parameter itself. You need to show the parameter. Okay, you need to show the parameter. Once you click on show parameter, it will show us on the right side of the chart. Okay, click on show parameter. Click on show parameter, then you will see the parameter on the right side of the chart. Then you can interact with it. You can change the value and you will see that it shows you the results for different values. So I can set it to 14 and I can see that like the chart now being updated based on what I set for the value. Okay. So we use the parameter to filter the result. Now, like we needed to click on the parameter and show it on the right side of the chart, so we can interact, like change the value of the parameter. If you don't show it, then we won't be able to like actually use the parameter. It will only use the default value. Need to show the parameter. Here I can see the chart like parameter, and I can change it. Any question? So create parameter, apply the parameter. In this case, we are using it as a filter. So apply that filter. How do we apply for filter? Here we were filtering for top end products. So product name, go to filter. In this case, now edit filter. From here, now like by field, and then here I selected the parameter I created. Okay. Now let's try to apply those like the other features. So I'm gonna use product name as a way to color the bar charts or bars. And then I want to show it's like sum of cells as a label. Okay, sum of cells as a label. Change the format to currency. Click on the down arrow for sum of cells and click on format to change the format to currency. Okay, so from here, from the numbers, I change it to currency. Then click OK to close it. Okay, good. Once you're done, let's change the title of the chart. This is sum of cells for each product. Sum of cells for each product. So we learned how to create a parameter and we can use it to apply, like one of the ways that we can apply it as a way to filter the results, and that's what we did here. Okay. Let me change this to also query. If you're starting from like first, we can do that. If you want to change it like a different name, that's okay. As long as you can remember what is that queries. Here, I'll just like continue with that, like query 14. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So we saw how we can create a parameter. Now we want to see how we can create a calculated field. We've already created fields when we are using Access. You work with Excel as well before, and you've created new fields. Or you created the formulas. Here, the same way you can create a new field or calculated field. So here in the like the data tab on the sidebar, you have a create parameter, and then above that you have a like create calculated field. That way you can create a calculated field. Okay, create calculated field. So from the data tab, click on the down arrow, click on calculated field. So you can create a field. Okay. First, let's assign, like, let's set a name for it. So we are gonna name this field. We are creating a new calculated field. I will name this field as cells category. Cells category. Okay. This is it. I'm gonna name it as cells category. Okay. Cells category. Now, I need to type the formula. What is the formula? The formula is like if the cells is greater than or equal to 250, it is high cells, otherwise low cells. In Tableau, whenever you want to create a formula, you want to pay attention to a few things. First, like you see, like if there's only one condition, you're saying like if expression then, okay, then you're using then to say if the condition is true, what should happen? In this case, let's say if grade is greater or equal 60, then that category that should be categorized as pass. Otherwise, you use like else, and then you like type like what category you're using. In this case, like it's called fail. And then at the end of the formula, you always type end. At the end of the formula, you need to type end here. Okay. If you don't type it, it will show you like an end, like it will show you an error. So keep that in mind. So for here, I will type if, okay, if cells is greater or equal to 150. You can type the cells here, or you can drag the column from here. So I will click on cells here. From the data type, click on cells and drag it to the formula. Okay, so drag it to the formula, and then you will see cells here. So anytime in a formula you're using one of the columns or any of the columns, just drag that column to the formula. So if cells is greater or equal to 250, then, okay, so I'm going to type then, and then space, inside double quotation, like I'm creating a category. I'm going to say high cells. What was the?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
You should add that to the calculator.
Okay. So in the data tab, click on the down arrow. You have create parameter, you have create calculated field. Okay, I've created calculated field. Click on calculated field. I name this as cells category. Okay, if cells is greater or equal to 250, then we'll assign it as high cells. Otherwise, just else. Okay, if there is no other condition to check, just use else. Say else, then it will categorize them as low cells. And then type end. If I leave it there, you can see that there is an error here. Calculation contains errors. It doesn't tell you what is that. But in this case, we haven't typed end at the end of their formula. Okay, so our formula is this. If cells is greater than simple formula to click OK. So cells column or cells like field is a numeric field. We cannot use it like as a category to categorize the results, but we can use it to create categorical fields like cells category. We can like check out the bound, like the range of the values, and then use them to create this type of field, and then use it to create new charts. So in this case, we created a new field, and you can see that now it shows up in the part that shows as a field, not as a numerical, right? Not numeric, it's a categorical field. We have two categories, high cells, low cells. Now we can use that field. So what is the question here? Create a vertical bar chart to show sum of quantity for each cells category. So for each cells category, can use that to show quantity. Okay, we have the quantity here. You can drag it and show sum of quantity for each cells category. Now it checks like only like categorizes the high cells and low cells, and based on that it shows us total number of quantities. Again, let me review this. For quantity, we use sum. We don't use count. Sometimes we get confused about it. We don't count the quantities. Use adding them up. So we use sum as an aggregation. If you use count, okay, just the result is incorrect. Okay, sum. Okay. So let's do the other ones. Change the color by cells category. Okay, drag cells category to colors. And then add quantity as a label. Okay, add quantity as a label. We already ordered it. We can also like sort the results. Okay, any question? I'll set the title for this as cells category. Sorry, sum of quantity for each cells category. Okay. I'll change this to query 15. Okay, so now we want to create a parameter. Okay, so we created a calculated field, and we said if the value of cells is greater than 250, it is high cells, otherwise low cells. That's a good like a calculated field, but the limit is that threshold is set, and we cannot change it. We can do that in a different way and allow the user to change that threshold and see the results using parameters. So that's what we are going to do now. First, we are going to create a new parameter. Okay, we're going to create a new parameter. We'll call it cells category, cells parameter. We're going to call it cells parameter. So create a new parameter. We'll name it cells parameter. Okay, cells parameter. So we are using in like instead of like typing the exact value, we're using number, and it's a like monitor. So we only use like float as a data type. So I'll use float as a data type. I'll set the current value again, the default value, the one that it stars like 200. I don't need to change like set a range or anything for now, at least in this case, and that's it. So cells parameter data type as like float, the currency use float, and then current value to 100. Okay. Can see that again, like third parameter shows up here. Now let's create a new calculated field. Okay, new calculated field. This time we are going to create the like calculated field using the parameter. So I create a calculated field. We'll name it sales category. Sales category with parameter. Okay. So if sales greater or equal, we created this calculated field and we said like we typed like 250. So exact value. Instead of that exact value, now we want to use that parameter that we created. So we are going to drag parameter and leave it here. So this time we're using the parameter. Later, we will let the user like interact with the parameter value and change the value, and that means the threshold can change, and that way we can have the results to be like show different results for a different threshold. So if sales is greater than the sales parameter, then okay, so we'll call this high sales, else low sales, and then again end. Okay, I'll make sure to type end at the end of the formula. So if sales is greater or equal, sales parameter will like that categorized as a high sales, otherwise low sales. This is the formula we created. Okay. Again, you can see now we have two fields, sales category and sales category with parameter. So let's create the chart now. Let me see. Okay. So we want to create a vertical bar chart to show sum of quantity for each sales category with parameters. So I'll drag this sales category with parameter, and then for each sales category, and we want to show sum of quantity. Okay, sum of quantity. This time we use the sales category that we created using the parameters. I want to show sum of quantity. Now, the default value was 100. But then again, we said if you're creating a parameter, we want to let the user to like interact with the chart. So anytime we create the a chart and use that parameter, like click on the parameter and make sure that you click on show parameter so it shows on the right side of the chart. So you can actually change the value of parameter and see that result for different values. So click on the the sales parameter, show parameter. Now you have 100. I'll set this to 200. I'll set this to 300. Now we can see that if you change the threshold, that now it is more interactive and you can see the result based on different sort of value that you set for that threshold. Okay. Okay. So again, make sure that you show the parameter. You show the parameter and it shows on the right side of the chart. Then just add the other things. So sales category with parameter as a way to color the result, like chart or color the bar. Sum of quantity as a label. Okay, sum of quantity as a label. And then also just in case, sort the results based on sales category parameter. Any question? Change the title of the chart this time to sum of quantity for each sales category with parameter. You may not need to add the parameter, but like just in case you remember that we created this chart using the sales category that we created using the parameter. So I added that to the item. And change this to query 16. Okay. This time you want to create a calculated field with multiple conditions. Let's create a new calculated field. Okay. I want to create a calculated field for and call it profit category using the profit column or profit field. Create a calculated field. I'll name it profit category. Okay, profit category. So if profit greater than or equal to 200, it is high profit. If profit greater or equal to 200, then we'll specify it as high profit. Okay. If profit greater or equal to 100, then high profit. Now, it doesn't say otherwise. It says if it's not greater than 200, if it is greater than 50, so that means this time we'll use, instead of else, we use else if, because we still have a condition to check. So else if you still have other condition to check, you need to use else if, not else. So else if, and then again, profit. Okay, so the profit either is greater than 200, then you name it high profit, or if it's not greater than 200, it's less than 200, and it's still greater or equal than 50, then we'll specify it as medium profit. Medium profit. Then again, other else if, because we still have a condition to check, if the profit is greater than or equal 0 but less than 50, so else if profit greater or equal to 0, then specified as 0 or low profit. 0 or low profit. Now, is there another condition to check? No, it just says otherwise, just set everything to that. So I will type this time else. There is no condition to check. So else, I'll call it as negative profit. And then N. Okay. So this is our formula. If profit is greater or equal to 100, then high profit. Else if profit is greater than 50. So in this case, we don't need to type if you type this way, I think, let's say if it is this way, okay, profit is less and profit is greater than 50, it's the same thing. You don't need to add that part to the formula, because it's, or if that the condition if this didn't meet, then we are already sure that the profit is less than 200, so we don't need to check that part again. We just need to check if the profit is greater than 50. Okay, profit category, and then click OK, and we can see that we created the formula. Now, So I want to create a pie chart to show sum of quantity for each profit category. So we have the profit category and then sum of quantity. I'll choose pie chart. Okay, choose pie chart. Remember, like for pie chart, you see like it only like it shows very small. Click on this standard and change it to entire view so you can see it in the center and like much bigger. So change the way that you showed the chart to entire view so we can see it bigger. Then start adding the other like features to the chart. So what I will do, I will add the profit category as a label. Add the profit category as a label. I will add sum of quantity as a label. Okay, sum of quantity as a label. Then if you want to like update the formula or like the type, like the labels, click on the label and then click on the three dots next to text. So you can like check the text organization, the fonts, and like the size. You can like set a value. So I'll click labels, click on the three dots, and then here, see that the profit should come at the top. So I will select it, drag it to the top, and then enter so I can change it. And then center it. Change this to okay. So we created a new calculated field. This time we had multiple conditions to check. And that's what we did with this like a field. We can go to the profit category, click down, like click on the down arrow, go to edit, and we can see the formula. And this was our formula to check. One thing you can do is like you can like use a parameter as well here. You don't want to specify an exact value, you can create parameters and use them. Let me change the chart title to sum of quantity for each profit category. Okay, sum profit for each category. I don't think we've seen an example of this. We might see it later. In case like you want to like you have a question that should ask you instead of like the number, show percentage. Show percentage. How do we do that? Like here, the one that you've used as a label. Check out that sum quantity that you've used for label. Click on the down arrow, go to quick table calculation. Okay, quick table calculation. And if you click on percentage of total, then you can see it instead of numbers like total like quantities, you can see it as a percentage of total. So again, the one that you use like sum quantity for label, okay, T as label, click on the down arrow, you will see quick table calculation, and then percentage of total. That way you can see that like the result as a percentage instead of numbers. So here, quick table calculation. Okay. And then we select the percentage of. Okay. Question. Okay, great. Let me change this to query 17. And then I can click here to work on this query. So I want to create a vertical bar chart to show sum of cells for each category in each year. For each category in each year. So basically, was the total query would be group by year, group by category, show show sum of cells. Let's see. So for year, I use the order date, right? Okay, so I use the order date. I'll drag order date here. I have two columns, like two groups for each year, for each category. So I'll add the category as well. For each year, for each category, I want to see sum of cells. Okay, so for each year, for each category, I want to see sum of cells. If you remember, like from last session, we also said if the question was asking you like for each month, for example, or for each quarter, like you can change the year. First of all, this is a hierarchy. So if you open that, you can see like the results for the different like time frames. But then again, if the question exactly is asking you for a month or like quarter, then from here you can change it to months, and you will see like for each month, for each category, sum of cells. You can go back and then again select year, so we can see for each year, for each category, sum of cells. So now, while we have this, we want to talk about reference lines. What's a reference line? From the data tab, there is like analytics tab. Okay. Do you see the analytics tab in the sidebar? Click on analytics tab. Click on analytics tab, and then you will see a reference line. You will see this reference line. You can use the reference lines to add on a chart. You can add a reference line like an average, minimum, maximum to a chart. So I can click on the reference line and try to drag it to the chart. Try to drag it to the chart. Once you drag it to the chart, then you will see like you have multiple options. Table and pane, like pane, and the other option. So what's the difference? If I drag the reference line and like leave it on table, it will create the reference line for the complete chart. It will create the reference line for the complete chart. So in this case, if I here I choose like what is the reference line. In this case, I want to show average sum of cells. So here already it's average. Once I click OK, there like here you can change the colors. I don't know, like let's say like you can choose a color red, and then you can see. So what do we see here is the reference line average sum of cells for the complete complete table, not just for each category. It shows you like for each like year sum of cells. Now, there's another, like, you can also drag this time. Let's create, like, again, I will click on reference line. This time, I will leave it in the middle one. Okay, in the middle one. This time, it will calculate the average for each category, for each cell. So for each category, for each year, shows like the reference line. And in this case, reference line is the average. So we can see the average for each year for each category. So that's the reference line. You can like change the color. You can like change the measurement. In this case, we created the average. You can like change the measurement as well to show like the reference lines like this. Okay, any question? Yes. Okay, so from the reference line, once you drag it, you have two options. Each one of them, like the first one shows you for table, the second one for each like cell it will create it for each cell. Okay, so if you leave it in the second one, it shows you for each cell the reference line. Great. Let's change the title to sum of cells for each year and for each category. Sum of cells for each year for each category. So let's just like review everything that we did for this session. We learned about the calculated fields. If you want to create a calculated field from this tab, click on the down arrow, go to calculated field, and that's where you can create a calculated field. If you want to create a parameter, you use parameters, like you want to allow the user to interact with the chart. So you can create a parameter, you want to specify the data type, like the default value, if you want to like need to specify a range. In this case, the first chart we talked about, we wanted to show top end products. So we needed to create this parameter and then apply it to the chart. How did we do that? Like first, we created the parameter, then in the product name, click on the down arrow, there should be a filter, click on the filter, go to the, I can remove it, let me remove it, okay. So here, we don't have a filter, you can use edit filter, go to the top tab, click on by field, and from here, select the parameter that is used for top end. You can see that the other parameters that you've created also show up. Top end, and the default value was 5. Always remember, if you use a parameter, make sure that you show it to the parameter. That's the reason that we want to like be able to change the value. So like once you click on show parameter, it will show us in the right chart. Great, that is it for today. We'll work on the rest of the questions next session. I already took the attendance, so that should be it. Thank you.